I would just say, the one of you who are my vote will not only be the one that stands up to social, racial, and environmental injustice, but it'll also be the one of you that doesn't change your mind if you get offered a 6 or 7 figure donation from a company like Dominion.
I'm Sharon Campbell. I live in Henrico. I didn't expect to step up tonight, so we'll see how this goes. The one thing I want to comment on, and it's really to the four individuals here tonight, is campaign finance reform. And I think that's still the right term. I feel like I haven't heard it in a decade or two. But I think it was John McCain and Joe Lieberman who tried to tackle it as senators at least a decade ago. I'm sorry, Feingold. Thank you. And I don't believe they were successful. And I think it's gotten much, much worse. And so it's one thing to be able to maybe get elected because of the frustration that we all have with our current representative, and that's your first election. But I think you really need to think about how are you going to fund subsequent elections and what practices are going to go along with that, and how are you going to build a coalition if you do get elected among your peers to fight it and change it, because it's going to be very tempting. Once you get in there, you're going to want to survive and continue to represent us, but there are going to be sacrifices that you'll be tempted to make, and despite your best intentions. I think there are people, both in the Senate and in the House, who see the problem. They're campaigning constantly. They barely have time to hold town halls and think about the data that someone talked about. But it's got to change, and you're going to have to, please, as you build your campaign, think about how you're going to communicate to us what's your long-term plan for that. Because it may be fine for the first election or two, but it's going to get harder and harder, I think, the longer you're in office, and it needs to change.
The potential candidates are also constituents.
Go ahead. Hi, I'm Michael Waugh, and I'm new to the area, but I live in Henrico. And right after the Vietnam year, I joined the Coast Guard. It was like 1975. And you know, a lot of what we did during that 22 years that I was in had to do with the Cold War and a lot of things that people wouldn't be aware of, but some of it was tedious. It wasn't as exciting as some things you might be doing. But you know, we used to board Soviet block ships, and we got kind of close to what they were doing. And as a veteran, and I retired in 1999, you know, they gave us a ribbon for being in the Cold War. And even at the time, I thought, you know, we didn't win any war here. They're still there. They might be called different countries, but they're still doing the same things. And we got, I think, a little bit smug about it. But it really bothers me that our congressman is just so cavalier about what the Soviets have been doing to us and are trying and will continue to do as far as affecting our democracy. And I'm so happy to hear you talking about it. I know your background's in the same thing here. And I've been hounding Brad in every possible way I can. And I didn't want to get up here and talk, but after all the phone calls and everything, I wasn't even that aware of him because I live somewhere else. I live in Ireland half the year. And by the way, they're always asking me, what the hell's wrong with us? But anyway, that's the one thing, because I know so many of you have been getting, you know, really eloquently going after these issues with him. But this is the one that really sticks with me. It really bothers me the most. Not that the other ones aren't important. But thank you for letting me share that with you.
I wanted to say one last thing. The young lady who came up and said that there's quick fixes for a lot of these things, she's so absolutely right. When we start putting families first, we can come up with those fixes. For universal health care, it costs $32 trillion a year to put that into effect. We spend $49 trillion a year on the system we have now. So it can be done. It's just priorities. But you know, for whatever reason, they don't want to implement universal health care, but it's up to us to fight and make our legislators stand up for what we want, okay? And the middle class income, it's been going like this. Middle class and working class, it stayed the same for the last 20 years. No raises from anybody. Not from the working class, not from middle class. But production has gone up like this. But guess where that money, where's the money going? It's going to the very rich. The 1% is hoarding wealth. So it's up to us to take it back.
I want to do one last page before we begin. Unless anybody else has any, because I'll probably end it. I'm going to change topics actually just a little bit, because we've talked a lot about our congressmen and our congressional candidates, but I want to remind everybody before we get to that point, we have a very critical election coming up in November. A lot of the stuff that's coming back from the federal level, coming back to the states, the environmental issues,